please turn off your screen. And let me get to record. Okay. All right, so we're going to begin. I just wanted to, there'll be a short video toward the end of it. But so we're going to start off really quickly with Mrs. Lariviere. She is the math teacher for 7th grade.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Lariviere. I am your child's math teacher. I have a quick little PowerPoint. Let me just pop it up. All right. So welcome. And Miss Corey also helps co-teach it. She's on the screen somewhere for you guys. Outside my room, this is just one of the bulletin boards, how I've used math today. And then I have a few pictures of my classroom and what it looks like. So when the students come in, this is what they get to see. I have a lovely fireplace that has a fake fire always going. The kids always want it on. Their homework is always posted on that board right there that you see next to the schedule. All students can succeed with hard work and grit. I tell them as long as they are putting effort in and they're working and they're trying the problems, even if they get it wrong or make a mistake, I care about their effort because they only learn if they try. If they don't do anything, they're not learning. The materials that they need daily, they need their homework folder, their completed homework. They get 2 homeworks every night from me. And then they always need a pencil. I don't let them write in pen in my class, even if it's erasable. And then I provide graphing calculators and regular calculators for them, so they don't need to have their own unless they want one for home. Algebra prep, when we get into some graphing stuff, they may need one at home, but I know that there's a whole bunch of computer ones now out there that you can use. And then they all have a binder and a composition notebook that gets left in my class every day that they use for all their notes and keeping organized. For Math 7, here are my units. I have the number system, expressions, equations, inequalities, then ratios and proportional relationships, percentages and scaling, geometry, probability, and then statistics. And then for my algebra prep class, we have foundations of algebra, solving equations, inequalities, ratios, proportions, and percentages, geometry, introduction to functions, and then linear functions we end with. In Google Classroom, all of the assignments are posted there. So that's my lesson, the companion pages, which are any pages that are helpful things to refer to, their homework, any review assignments, and then their assessments. With homework, I give all their homework on paper, except for a few digital pieces. But their homework, no matter what, can be found in Google Classroom as a PDF. And if the student is missing that paper or they lose it or they're absent, they can just go to Google Classroom and complete it on a separate piece of paper. This is what Google Classroom looks like for them. So they would just click on their math class. When they click on it, they'll click on the classwork tab, and then they'll be able to see all the lessons and assignments that they have.
Colin, who's this teacher?
In PowerSchool, I post all the assignments with a description that they have that they get graded on. And please make sure that you are checking your child's PowerSchool progress regularly. And if you have any questions, just let Sorry, I don't know what you missed. I got muted. In PowerSchool, you click on the missing assignments and then you go to the class you're looking at and you click on that grade and it'll give you a more in-depth of exactly what assignments are missing and how they were graded for your child. Extra help is for Dragon Time. Students can request to come to Dragon Time, or a teacher can request them. And then Dragon Time is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 2:12 to 3 o'clock. I, though, teach the tag program coming up, so I will only be available on Mondays for Dragon Time. And then if you need to get in contact with me, that is my email at isaacschool.org. And then Heather Corey's is there as well. And that is all I have. I hope I didn't get muted for too long.
No, you didn't. Thank you so much. Next one- Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to introduce Amy myself, but
Perfect. Pass
Okay.
it along.
next up is Amy Taylor, who teaches language arts.
Thank you, Ms. Lariviere. Hi, everybody. I am Amy Taylor. I am the language arts teacher on the 7th grade team. And I too am going to share my screen. All right, so these are, this is what my classroom looks like. So when students are in our room, the board and the TV screen are up that way. We can see part of my library in the corner over there, and the other half of the library in the back corner of my room. Isaac does not have its own library, and as an English teacher, I definitely want kids to be able to have access to books. And so over the years, I have been building my collection. I have probably about 2,000 books now in my classroom for kids to use and to borrow from me. At the beginning of the year, we had a book tasting day where they got to explore the library, see the tons of books that are available and the different kinds. And I'm happy to say 53 kids went home with a book between those 2 days. So that made me really happy. And plenty of kids have turned a book in and taken another one out. So that is there for them to utilize all year long. And I encourage them to always have a book to read. And then on the side of our room, we track our homework completion. And so if a student hands in their homework on time, they get a sticker on the chart. And then once they've accrued 7 stickers, they can get a free homework pass, so they can take a night off of their choosing, any point in time between them earning it and the end of the year. And I do want to just draw attention to some concerns in 7th grade about homework completion. It's not that great right now, and we're working on it. I'm hopeful that will turn around, but I will say for the homework that was due yesterday and today, only 40 out of the 85 7th graders had their homework done on time. So though that is not a great percentage, and I know the other teachers on the 7th grade are seeing the same thing. And so this week I did print out missing work reports for students, and I have been getting some of those late assignments in this week. So that's been great. And I will keep pushing on that this week. And those students who are still not getting things in, I'll be reaching out to families next week. So just know that students should be doing homework every night. They're getting it from all of their core classes every night. And if they're not utilizing their Dragon time, or if they have a study hall, then they should definitely be working at home. And so I just want to make sure that, you're checking in on that. PowerSchool, I practically live on it. So if it says it's missing, it is missing. And just know that is a great tool to use to check in on your kids and how they're doing. All right, let's get to what we're doing this year. We are currently in our Long Walk to Water unit. So this is a picture of the Long Walk to Water book. You should be seeing kids with that. I also have links to an audio on Google Classroom. So if there's someone who likes to listen to it, they can do that as well. All of the chapters are linked in Google Classroom, and they know how to access that. The big project at the end of this unit is a Socratic seminar discussion. So they'll spend a few days prepping to find quotes to back up their opinions on 4 different types of questions. And when they come in that day, they don't know which 2 questions they're going to get. So they have to have all 4 prepared and ready to go. And it's a big graded discussion on our reading of A Long Walk to Water. Our second unit will start up in November. It is our nonfiction unit, so we read a lot of scientific articles about the teenage brain and how the brain is developing in teenagers, why kids do the things they do, why they act the way they act. And then we look at screen time and how screen time affects the developing teenage brain. So their cell phones, their video games, TV, all that kind of stuff. And their big project for this particular unit is they write their big formal research essay based on the articles that we use in class to determine whether or not the American Academy of Pediatrics should increase or decrease screen time based on their current recommendations. And then they use the data and the information from the articles we read in class to support their position. When we come back from winter break, we are in our poetry unit. And to try and make it a little fun, we do it through a March Madness style bracket. So we list, we pit poem against poem. The students get to vote. Majority, 7th grade majority rules. So whichever one wins moves on in the bracket until we have 2 final poems to go head to head. And every time a poem makes it through the bracket, we continue to look at that poem through a different lens. So by the time we get to those final 2, they would have looked at it 4 times and they're going to know those 2 poems really well and be able to talk about all aspects of poetry with those 2 poems. And then at the end, they have a 1-pager project where they choose a poem, they analyze it, they look for things like figurative language, symbolism, theme, poetic devices, all of the things that we study throughout the unit. And then they go and utilize those tools to analyze a poem and create like a poster project on that. And then the last unit is my Holocaust unit. And we read the Diary of Anne Frank as a play. And then we'll also look at some excerpts of the book Survivors, True Stories of Children in the Holocaust. And we learn about what went on in history at that time. We listened to a lot of survivor stories. I had the opportunity a couple of summers to go on a fellowship trip to Europe with a Holocaust survivor. And so I share all of those stories, and we learn about Eva, the woman who I spent some time with. We learn about her and her story and her experience as well. And then the project for that unit is the Butterfly Project, where students research a Holocaust survivor and their story, and then they create a butterfly that represents that person and their experience. And that's it for me in language arts. It's a pretty full year. All 4 units are really great. I love teaching my units, and the kids generally get a lot out of them as well. And up next is Mr. Keith.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Amy. I'm going to get my Google Slides show up really quick too. Just gotta jump for a second, share screen. All right, so as Amy said, I'm the 7th grade science teacher. My name's Tyler Keith. There's my email right there. It's tkeith@isaacschool.org, and I'm in room 306. So if you call the school, it's also extension 306. Here's a couple pictures of my classroom. Right over there, we have a sink, so we can do little mini labs. We have Project O, who I'm going to talk about in a second. They come in, we do squid dissections. We get to use the sink to utilize some of the labs they bring in for us. And we need it for when we get into the chemistry unit. We also have just the grouped desks, so they can do a lot of work together. We do a lot of the think, write, pair, share. So the kids take a second to hear a concept, write down their thoughts about it, talk to their neighbors before sharing with the entire class. So that setup is good for that. My Google Classroom, all class and homework assignments will be there. If there's an assignment I hand out in class, there'll still be a PDF they can print off if they need it, or there'll be instructions for how they can recreate the assignment at home. Most assignments can be submitted online right there. The big thing, and Amy mentioned this with missing homework. I've noticed this with homework and classwork. students will do part of, if not all of an assignment, and then they just won't turn it in. It's like the modern day not writing your name on a piece of paper. Where I have kids, I'll see them do 3, 4, I'll ask them to turn it in. They'll say they'll do it next class, and then they'll still have zeros, even though they've completed a whole lesson's worth of work. So it's just important that they remember to turn it in when they're done. All my grades will be uploaded to PowerSchool. None will be in Google Classroom, but I'll leave comments on assignments in Google Classroom. All right, so what's needed in class? Composition notebooks, they were asked to bring those in, but we had extras from last year. Students are just tracking everything we go through in each unit in their composition notebook. So right now we're in our cells, tissues, and organ systems unit. So the students have drawn the urinary system, respiratory system, the different parts of the heart. They've done the digestive system. So it's really good for them to draw this stuff out so they can really visualize it when we go for a test. They've done a lot of graphing in there, and it's nice to look back at their notes. Pencils, because we do a lot of drawing. Pens, just like math, pens end up just ruining the composition notebooks. They rip pages out. There's whiteout everywhere. It's a mess. And then Chromebooks we use a lot. Like I said, most of my lessons will be posted right on there and can be turned in on Google Classroom. All right, so lab safety is of the utmost importance. As you've all probably seen, a lab safety sheet went home, a lab safety contract. Students were asked to have you and themselves sign it, saying that they would not do reckless things in the lab, they'd act safely, and they would follow instructions. Scientific method, especially with the TWIPs I talked about and other different methods we're using now, it's a really good tool for them to use while answering questions in class, because the first step asks them to ask a question. Next step is to take an educated guess on that answer. So they'll see a lot of information now. They have to try and problem solve before being told the answer. So those are skills they use on the NGSS assessments come 8th grade. We worked with Project Oceanology a lot. Like I said, they came in for a squid dissection. We did seal watching. We did the same activity where we were scraping up shrimp and whatever else we could get off of the coast of Bluff Point. They came in, they did phylogenetic trees with us over different fish species. They're fantastic. All right, and we have 5 units in 7th grade science. The first one, like I said, is tissues, organs, and organ systems. They just got their unit task today, which asks them to recreate an organ system of their choosing as a board game, which is just a fun one. They usually like doing that one. You get lots of creative things, like instead of chutes and ladders, you get stones and bladders, and kidney stones will go down. Next, we'll learn about cells, so animal cells, plant cells, but then we'll get into white blood cells, red blood cells, the different nerve cells, neurons, sensory neurons, receptors, all that. And then they make a cell city for that unit as their unit task. Heredity, which is a fun unit. They love this one generally. We'll do a lot with Punnett squares and phylogenetic trees, like I mentioned earlier. This is basically a way for students to track how traits can be passed from one generation to the next. And it ties in nicely with our next unit, which is on evolutionary biology, which is just seeing like how evolutionary ideas aren't like Pokemon. It's more like, look, the fish at the bottom left of the screen are related in this way. And there's traits you can see that they passed on from one generation to the next. And then our last unit, which is probably their favorite, if not the first, or unit 3, which is genetics, is our matter and its interactions unit, which is just chemistry. We make a little tiny thing of elephant toothpaste. They learn about solids, liquid, gases. They learn about chemical equations. And then they get a little lab safety bonus time. So when they do these labs in high school, they're a little bit more comfortable. Once again, my contact information, I put Isaac's number and I'm extension 306. And my email is tkeith@isaacschool.org. If there are no questions for me, I'd like to introduce Jen Rivetti, the 7th grade social studies teacher. And I will stop sharing my screen.
Hi, my name's Jen. I teach social studies, as Tyler so kindly shared. I'll get to the start of my presentation here. So the benefit of going last is I can just tell you to refer back to Kim's presentation for how I use PowerSchool, and for Amy's concerns about homework, and for Tyler's comment that grades will always be on PowerSchool and never Google Classroom. So I just got to talk about my subject, which is really fun for me. Okay, so this is the social studies classroom. Our bulletin board outside is the product of a lot of hard work at the beginning of our unit, where students learned what it was to be a social scientist and studied themselves as individuals, as well as a community. Our first unit is going to end with a big debate. So right now we're researching, we're learning more about the Paleolithic era and gathering evidence. Students sit in pairs for the most part, so they have an opportunity to talk about the ideas that we cover in class. They also have notebooks and folders in class already. I haven't had an issue yet with supplies, so we're good on that front. Thank you to all the parents who bought notebooks. Okay. So besides our ELA goals, so social studies is very reading and writing heavy. In addition to those, I like to focus on effective communication, critical thinking, and appreciation for different cultures. So we do spend a lot of time talking together and expressing ourselves and acknowledging different perspectives in the classroom. I also like to give them difficult concepts. You know, every unit is going to have questions that don't have one right or wrong answer. I expect your students to gather as much evidence as they can, power through it, and even though the opposite opinion is valid, they can still present a strong argument for their side. And then we will also take a moment to pause as much as possible to explore student cultures as well as explore world cultures. Okay. So the first unit we're in right now, it should end in about 3 weeks, is just what is social science? We look mostly at the idea that social science is the study of us, kind of what makes that so difficult, and how different perspectives really change what it means to be the truth, right? So we're working on essential skills. We've done perspective taking, we've done corroboration, we're doing argumentative writing starting tomorrow, and researching. So at the end of this unit, we will be doing a debate, arguing whether or not life was better for humans in the Stone Age compared to today. Your students are already coming up with some amazing ideas and some really brand new insights. I'm actually very proud of them. When we're done with this, sometime in the middle of October, we'll begin Unit 2, which is all about the relationship between humans and geography. So where we live changes how we live, and how we live changes where we live. We'll start by looking at, so we do this in the Middle East. We'll start by looking at the birth of human civilization in Mesopotamia, look at the role water played in the creation of human civilization. And then we'll fast forward to today to see how a lack of water and climate change is contributing to international conflict, as well as an abundance of oil in the Middle East and how that's contributing to conflict. We'll end this unit hopefully with a public service announcement about how our personal use of water and oil is impacting people around the world. I say hopefully because I am currently pregnant. I will be out on maternity leave, ideally, towards the end of December, and your student will have a long-term sub likely until March. So while all my lessons are set and I expect them to have this available and expect them to do this, you know, I will not be the teacher in the room. So the third unit, which I love the most and will be out for, is all about globalization in the context of West Africa. So we talk about what globalization is and how it's changing the world today, as well as how it's changed the world in the past. So we look at the beginning of African kingdoms when they were the richest kingdoms the world has ever seen, and how globalization brought forces from Europe that ultimately resulted in a lot of poverty and a lot of dissonance. Students will also have the chance to explore how globalization's, you know, a part of their life, what it looks like, where they can find it. And then at the end of the unit, they will work together to solve trade inequity. how globalization, so they'll learn how globalization has set up this unfair balance between countries around the world, and then see how they can use globalization to make it fair again. Fourth unit, which will probably start beginning of March, is all about government structures. So students ask themselves why we need laws and government regulations, and really come to conclusions about the relationship between individual liberties and the ways in which people choose their leaders. So we look at everything from, military dictatorships in feudal Japan to modern day dictatorships in North Korea, as well as democracies in Japan and South Korea. We'll also look at why we have government in the first place, what the point is, and look at some major philosophers and kind of their perspectives on what government is. At the end of this unit, your student will create their own government, create their own country really, and have the opportunity to defend their decisions to the rest of the class, arguing why their government is superior to everyone else's. Finally, for the last unit, which will happen towards the end of May after SBAC we will come together as a United Nations and talk about how nations can work together to solve international conflicts or concerns. We start by looking at the role and the history of the United Nations, and then choose something that's currently happening and work together to solve it as a group of countries. So last year, we tried to find a resolution. We talked about how the United States could intervene to result in the best resolution in the Ukraine and Russia war. The year before that, we talked about the COVID-19 pandemic, how it's affecting people across the world, and what we could do to support those most in need. Okay, that's it. Again, thank you to my colleagues for making my presentation shorter. If you need me, this is my email. That's the best way to reach me. I'm not always in my classroom. There's someone else who teaches in there. But if there's anything I can ever do, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're all always very happy to hear from you. Okay. I don't know, Tanya, if you want to do the video now, or shall I introduce Mr. Avery?
You can introduce Mr. Avery. I'll just do the video at the end.
All right. Okay. So I have the extreme pleasure of introducing our social worker, Mr. Dean Avery. The screen is all yours, sir.
Thank you, Jen. Pull up my presentation. I'm doing that. Thank everyone for coming. You're taking the time out of your evening to be here. Your support is much appreciated. Yes, I wanted to focus on one role of the social. We have two social workers at Isaac, myself and Mr. Regan. One parts of our job is to produce the advisory program at Isaac. I will get in. That's what I want to focus on today. If you have a social and emotional concern for your student, you can certainly reach out, and I'll get into what supports are available in a second. Here's our self-proclaimed social worker suite. So we have a common room. We could have students up for lunch sometimes, mediate conflicts. The students fill out a morning survey about their mood, and they can request to speak to an adult. So frequently, one of myself or Mr. Regan would grab them and pull them up here and speak to them about what maybe how we can get their day on track or address what's going on. The two pictures to the right of the screen are my room and Mr. Regan's room. What is this advisory program we're talking about? I don't know if your student may have mentioned it. They would have gone through it last year as well, but as it goes through it, it's been progressing. So it is a social and emotional curriculum that the administrators have put a lot of concern and effort into. So we're really happy about that. We think it's really vital to the student success at Isaac and beyond. It focuses on building 5 core competencies in our students, which are self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, social awareness, and relationship skills. So every lesson is tied to one of those core competencies of their social and emotional well-being. I'll get into some of the specific topics on the next slide. But there are also things we touch on. There are some state requirements that we mix in, such as substance abuse, teen dating, and suicide awareness and prevention. So we are required to touch on those if your student comes home and talks about that. We have space in the program as well to address any current events or hot topics that come up in our nation or in our area. I forget what may have been one of the last ones we touched on, but I know Black Lives Matter has been an important thing that we've been updating and talking about as things have happened in our nation. So things like that are added into the advisory curriculum. Your student will have the same advisor and the same group of peers all 3 years. So the idea behind that is they have that trusted adult and form a close relationship, someone outside of their academic subjects. You can always access the advisory curriculum and the others off the website. If you look under academics, it's updated as we go. This is what we're looking at for Q1. I won't go through it all because you do have access to it, but we went through basic building norms, building trust. We did some team building and relationship building, which were basically fun activities to help foster interactions with the kids. We're getting into now, we did self-care. We did an activity for Hispanic heritage, grit. We're going to get into goal setting. Then we touch on anti-bullying, and we're going to also, we have a new initiative at Isaac. We're going to be aiming to be a no place for hate school. So what that entails is all your students are encouraged and will hopefully sign the pledge. It highlights 6 things, basically that we'll stand up against prejudice and discrimination, foster healthy relationships, that we don't become an innocent, that we stand up when we see something that's happening, seek to gain understanding from those who are different from each other. So it's a really great initiative. It entails signing the pledge, as I said, that'll be placed in our school, and then we'll do 4 activities as the year progresses, and that encourages the students to be fight for social justice, and we'll have those 4 activities. So it'll be great. That's a great thing you could ask your students about when they get home. As far as supports, myself and Mr. Regan do provide counseling for students that have that assigned to them. We can do check-ins if something, like I said, call and we can do that. A great resource that has openings right now free of charge is our school-based health center. So that's through CHC, and it's counseling, it's mental health counseling. They have dental services and also medical services. But for your student to access that, you would go on to the website, which I have listed there, sbhc1.com. Click on that big enroll button. It asks for your insurance information and whatnot, but it is free of charge. You will not be charged, and it's a great resource. As I said, right now for the mental health, there's no waiting list, so your student could be in the next Tuesday. If you have any questions, of course, as I said, there's information on the website. You can email myself at davery@isaacschool.org, or I'm available at school at extension 310. I think that's all I have for now. Thank everyone for their time, and now I'm going to introduce Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you for the introduction, Mr. Avery. My name is Mr. Kennedy. I am your student's multimedia arts teacher this year. I have a presentation I can do as well. Gonna go ahead and do that. Nope, maybe. I have no idea. There it is. Never presented a screen before in Zoom. So, what is media arts? Media arts is a class for your student to get to become familiar with all kinds of computer programs and digital art creation. They are learning how to edit photos. They are learning how to do animations, paint digitally, composite imaging, and it's basically giving them a brief introduction to the broad world of digital art. The classroom itself, a few pictures here, but we have 20 student computer workstations, all kitted out with computers. The students also have access to an etching press, DSLR cameras, a recording camera for recording video, and a green screen. And we also have digital art tablets for each of the computers so that they can draw digitally. Throughout the course of the year, most of their work is based in the classroom, because while I do give some assignments that they can do on the Chromebooks at home, a lot of the work is done with the programs that are installed on the computers, and they can't be installed on the Chromebooks, unfortunately, because of the limitations. As far as units are concerned, we are currently in our digital citizenship unit. It's great that I got to go after Mr. Avery, because I've actually spent the last 4 weeks discussing a lot of SEL related topics with them. We've talked about cyberbullying. We've talked about social media. We've talked about their privacy. We've talked about their data. It's all about talking about who they are on the internet and what they can do to keep themselves safe in that digital space and keep themselves aware and vigilant of what could happen in those digital spaces. We'll be moving on probably after another month, because we still haven't gotten to our unit task, but we'll be moving on to photo editing in Photoshop in our next unit. And I will be introducing them to not just the editing itself, but we will be going into and discussing sustainable development goals, and they'll be creating PSAs and messaging for a goal that they resonate with, whether they care about poverty or hunger or their health or their education. They'll pick two and put them together into a message that they feel strongly about, and use all kinds of images and resources from the internet to put it together. Moving on from that, I'm going to be really hitting more into Photoshop and using it for a more creative task. We'll be creating composite images, which you can see here on the screen is blending multiple images together to create a new illusion, a new space. And the theming for this project is going to be the isekai story, which is basically you being transported to an unfamiliar place. So if you were thinking of references in pop media, Stranger Things, The Kids in The Other Side, or movies from back in the day, Bill and Ted's Great Adventure, moving through time. It's basically they're creating unnatural spaces using pictures to make it look like you are a normal person in a fantasy setting. Beyond that, I have, as I said, a printmaking press in my classroom, and I myself am a printmaker. So we will be using Photoshop and other digital tools to create an Art Nouveau portrait of a character or a person that they find inspiring or important in their life. And they will use digital tools to design it. We will print them out, and then we will etch them onto plates, as you see in this picture on the bottom right here. And they will then ink the plates and use the press to print them out and create a series of prints that look sort of like the one on the right there, the blue one, but it'll be more colorful and the lines will be much cleaner because of the process that we're going to be using. Finally, the last thing that they'll do at the end of the year is I'm going to teach them how to animate. And I'm going to teach them both traditional and vector rigged animations. And we're going to basically spend time storyboarding and creating an animation that has basically the 5 elements of storytelling. They have to have, characters, settings, plot, rising action, climax, resolution, and they have to fit it all into I want to say 30-second animation, but it really just depends on time and the general workflow at the end of the year, how much we're able to do, how many frames we're doing per second, and so on and so forth. My contact info, if you would like to reach me, is ckennedy@isaacschool.org. I do my best to keep grades up to date. I, in fact, just updated grades this week on Tuesday and have to go back today because I made postings in the Google Classrooms for the students, letting them know that grades were up to date and a lot of work was missing, primarily because a lot of students just forget to hit that turn in button. Unfortunately, If they're not in the classroom, it's very difficult for them to do any of the turning in because all of their files are again saved on those computers and they can't access them from their Chromebooks. But other than that, I think that's it. If anyone has any questions for me, now would be the time to ask. And I do believe that I should be introducing Miss Zimmerman up next. Let me stop my share.
I believe Miss Altman is here. So Miss Altman can go next.
I am, and I will start us off. Sorry, we're coming from the 8th grade and they were just running a little bit behind. So my name is Miss Altman. I am the chorus teacher and here at Isaac, and this is my first year here, and I'm very excited for all the things that we are going to be working on. One of the things that we're focusing on in chorus this year is we're working on learning solfege and singing in multiple parts. So right now, we're actually working on singing in 2 and 3 parts and learning solfege as well as the hand signals. And as soon as Miss Zimmerman joins us, she has some slides for us. So until then, you'll just have to see me. But
She's here
one of
now.
the other,
I am, yeah. One second.
there we are. So this is Miss Zimmerman, and she is the band teacher, and she's going to show up some slides for us about the music room and the chorus area. And one of the things that is really exciting this year, as you can see right in the center, is we have a brand new digital piano, and it has the ability to record and play back and do a lot of wonderful things that we can use in terms of chorus, as well as music technology and some of the other things. On the right, you can see a picture of 2 of the pieces that we're working on right now. One is called Gallop. It's part of the solfege suite. Solfege is the syllables that we use to talk about pitch when we're singing, and we're also learning the sign language for that. And that piece is really fun because it's super, super fast. And so we have a lot of fun kind of trying to do the tongue twister of all the solfege syllables as we learn it. And the second one we're working on currently is Swinging on a Star, which was a very popular song kind of back in the 40s, and talks about learning and going to school and different animals. So you can see that we have our music stands set up, and we have been working pretty well. I'm actually really impressed with how wonderful the chorus sounds so far and the things that we're working on. And I hope that when we get to our concert in December, that you guys will be just as impressed and happy as I am. I'm going to pass it off to Miss Zimmerman.
Hi, I'm Miss Zimmerman, and I'm the new band director at Isaac. I'm very excited to be the new instrumental director here. This is one of the most inclusive and welcoming programs I've ever seen. We have instruments for any person that's interested in trying a new instrument. We have all sorts of different kinds of instruments that can try, even like tenor saxes and baritone horns. And it really gives every kid that wants an opportunity the chance to try an instrument. You can see all of our percussion instruments there too. And one of the other great things in this program is that we have a specialized pull-out program for sectionals, and the students can get individualized instruction on their instruments during Dragon Time. So in addition to the full band rehearsal, I'm taking them some days through the schedule. I'm taking them some days during the week, and they are getting one very small group with their instrument instruction from me. As Ms. Altman said, we have the December concert coming up, and so we're practicing some holiday festive favorites like Sleigh Ride right now, and we're also doing a bunch of other fun songs like Star Wars. So it should be a good show. They're sounding great so far. So yeah, I'm excited to see how excellent we can get over the year.
Excellent. Does anyone have any questions for myself or Miss Zimmerman? Okay, well, then we will pass it on to the next person.
We're actually going to skip to SRBI, Ms. Lazarou, Ms. Mitchell, if that's okay, and then we'll go to PE when we're done.
Sure, that sounds great. So hi, everybody. My name is Mrs. Mitchell. I am the math interventionist at Isaac, and I work very closely alongside Mrs. Lazaru, who is the literacy interventionist. We have a couple of slides that we want to show you. Do you want to introduce yourself, Ms. Lazaru?
Hi, I'm Mrs. Lazaru. I'm the ELA SRBI teacher.
It's nice to have a face to the voice. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so like I said, Ms. Lazaru and I are the SRBI teachers. We're both interventionists. We see both 6th and 7th graders. So your 7th graders will see us every 4 days. So what is math intervention and reading intervention? What we do is we provide focused instruction, extra support. We pre-teach skills and reteach skills that are taught in their regular classes in math and ELA. And we also provide enrichment and challenging activities in both math and language arts for those that need it. But mostly what we focus on is building fluency, conceptual understanding. We talk a lot about the content vocabulary your students are going to see, and problem solving and test taking strategies. We use AimsWeb in SRBI, and what that gives us is a benchmark score of where your student is. And we'll do this 3 times a year. And what that does is it helps inform our instruction. We set individual goals for our students, and they also set goals and track their progress towards those goals throughout the year. So like I said before, all 6th and 7th graders have SRBI, and we meet on a 4-day rotation. So every 4 days we will see your students. It tends to be a little long for 75 minutes, especially if your child has had math right before they see me, or ELA right before they see Miss Lazaru. So what we do is we switch halfway through the block. So they get approximately 30 minutes every 4 days of both actually, math and ELA. Our classes is graded on a pass-fail scale. So when your students are with us, we give them an effort grade out of 10 points. And we tell our students, you know, you're not here to be perfect. That's why you're with us. We're here to help you. So if they come in and work hard and try their best, they'll receive 10 points for that class. Ms. Lazaru?
Hi, so like Ms. Mitchell said, I teach the ELA portion of the SRBI, that second half of the 75-minute block. All 7th graders have building expectations and norms that the school has set, and then we have some in our classroom. We really believe that all students can succeed with hard work and grit and lots of practice in our class. We really want to focus on students having a growth mindset and always knowing that they can improve their skills. Come to class on time and prepared with pen and pencil and a highlighter, lots and lots of pencils this year. And we utilize PowerSchool. I'm sure some of the other teachers already spoke about it, but just know that we do put in the 10 points on PowerSchool. You can always check your grades. And SRBI, we can offer academic support if your 7th grader is struggling. Even in other classes, we have a space on the 1st floor where students can come for extra support during Dragon time. And we will post our assignments on Google Classroom also, especially if your child's absent, they can access their work there. We have our contact information for you, and always just an email or a phone call away, always happy to provide that extra support in reading and math. I don't know if you have any questions.
Thank you, guys. We're just gonna push it back to our PE, Miss Harvey. She just joined us. Thank you, Miss.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. So I am Miss Harvey. I have just joined Isaac a couple weeks ago. I'm very excited to be with you all and your students. It's been a great experience so far. I've had an amazing time with the kids in the gym. We're having a lot of fun and getting new routines set into place. So it's been a little bit of a transition for the kids with PE, but I'm here and they're doing great and they've been so much fun. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of go through my slides, kind of give everyone an idea of what's happening this year in PE. Back to the beginning. Okay. All right, so I teach health and PE. We're gonna kind of commingle that in into the year in the gym. Here's where all the action happens. This is our gym. All right, a couple things that are needed. We don't change for PE. We don't have locker rooms, but sneakers are required for PE. They're the safest for the kids to play in and do physical activities that we're going to be doing this year. So a lot of kids have been wearing the Crocs, but they are not allowed. Dress shoes or boots are not safe either. So sneakers are the best. They can bring the sneakers to school on PE days, or they can just wear them to school, but those are required. It's part of their grade. It's part of the responsibility grade portion of their grade. I always follow the school policies. So we don't eat in the gym. We don't use our cell phones. We use respectful language. We always try our best. Like I say, Linsky always says in the morning announcements every morning to bring your A game. And I kind of go with that same theme. So effort is, and participation is a huge part of their grade for PE, because if you don't participate, can't get any better or stronger or healthier. That's our goal, to get these guys moving and having fun and cooperating with each other. These are some of the units that we're going to be doing this year. Right now, we're doing the training for fitness. So we take the pre-test for the Connecticut physical fitness assessments. So we're doing exercise warm-ups that are linked to the fitness testing. And then I always do a warm-up game to get them running for the pacer. It's a pacer training. It's always fun. The kids always have a lot of fun. And then we'll do that pretty soon in the next couple of weeks. I always give them a heads up when we're doing the actual tests. That's the pre-test. We'll set goals. And then for unit 5 actually is the lifelong physical activity in the spring. I will post-test with the kids and they get to see their growth and they get to set goals and see where they're at. They always improve. They always do. We're also going to do net and wall games, adventure and cooperative games, invasion games. We're doing health units. They are the health triangle, substance use prevention, and advocacy. Very important for middle school age students to learn. And then if anybody has any questions, I'm always available in the future. You can always email or call me. I have 3 kids of my own. I live in Groton. I'm in the area. So I have my oldest is 18 and just started college, and then my middle one's in 8th grade, and then my youngest one is in 4th grade. So I understand absolutely everything and every question or concern a student might have. I've been through it and going through it right now with my own kids. So I totally understand. But communication is the best way for me to help your child, because sometimes people don't love PE. And then some of them absolutely love it and it's their favorite class of the day. So the more we communicate, the best the student will be successful in PE and health. I do have, for health units, I'm going to have some projects and some quizzes and things like that we're going to have to complete. So that's going to be part of their grade as well. But mostly it's going to be, the participation and effort and teamwork. Teamwork is a big thing for me. I come to every class as a team, and that's our practice for the day kind of thing. So we always end up with our 1, 2, 3 dragons cheer. That's how we end the class. So if anyone has any questions right now, you can chat it to me or unmute and ask me. for PE or health? Mhm. All right, so I had to jump in from 6th grade, so I'm not sure who is actually going to go next.
Miss
We're gonna-
Grundy, you are up.
Sorry, yeah, we're gonna. go
Ready?
to-
Okay, great. I'll
Okay,
stop sharing.
great. Hi, everybody. I'm Amanda Grundy. I teach theater and dance at Isaac, and I'm going to find my slideshow, get it ready to go. Fantastic. Oh, yes. Hold on. That's the way it works. There we go. Okay. Awesome. So I have the great privilege of teaching the 7th and 8th graders theater and dance at Isaac. And I love doing that. And one reason I love doing that is because when I was their age, I did as much theater and dance as I could possibly do. I love it. I went to college for it. I worked in New York as a professional actor for 15 years. And then I worked with Broadway shows and education departments all over the city, teaching theater, dance, teaching teachers how to create musicals at their schools. It was great. And now I'm at Isaac. So I just get to keep teaching more of what I love, which is fantastic. So this is my door to the backstage. And right now it has your students' names on stars because they're our theater and dance stars. And then this is the stage, which we do a lot of work on right now. There's mirrors because we teach our dance classes on the stage right now. There are 2 curtains, which I have up right now, but we can close them so that it's a backstage area and it covers the mirrors. And then we can dress this whole stage up and make it look like the Savannah of the Lion King when we do a show. So that's our space that we're working in right now. So right now in theater classes, we have been hard at work on devising fairy tales. So we're taking fairy tales and we're turning them into plays. And your students are such talented and creative actors. We have been having a blast while learning theater skills. So that has been a lot of fun. After that, we're going to move on to improv, monologues, and scenes, where your students will do some 2-person, 3-person scenes that they will get to present at a performance in December. After that, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to do a playwriting unit. So your students will get to learn kind of what it takes to create what goes on stage. And we will be, every student will be writing a 1-act play that's about 15 pages long, and they'll have the opportunity to submit to the Eugene O'Neill Young Playwrights Festival. Our students submitted last year, and we had 1 student selected to go and attend the workshops there, and he had an amazing experience. After that, we're going to go into technical theater and technical theater lab, which is everything you need to know about backstage. And they also, not only did they learn about what happens backstage, lighting, sound, costumes, makeup, prop sets, but they also get to make it and build it because they will be being a part of the backstage crew for the spring musical. So as they're learning about it, they're painting costumes and props in class. And yes, I say painting, we do some creative costuming. And they'll be doing all kinds of great work like that. And then when it comes time for the musical, they have the opportunity to be our backstage crew and actually run the sound and the lights for the musical. We finish out the year with Theater's Greatest Hits, which the students will read plays from the great canon of theater that they need to know. And they get to study those and tell me their opinions on those. All right, so that is my theater syllabus. This is a little picture of the Lion King at Isaac. This was after we finished our last show, cast and crew, all gathered on stage celebrating. And then dance, on to dance. So in dance, right now we're doing a unit called Dance Fundamentals, where the students get to learn basic dance steps
But I put them all together in a piece of choreography, so they're actually applying it at the same time. So we are working on that right now. After that, we're going to move on to student choreography, dance expression. They love choreographing. They have the best time doing that. And so they are going to get to make up all kinds of dances together in groups. And then they will get to perform some of those dances when we create our very own Isaac Nutcracker, which is the Nutcracker style unit that we do right before the holiday break. We will be starting January off with a hip hop dance through time, where we're learning the history of hip hop and some of the dances that make up what hip hop is, and the music as well. Then we're going to be doing a unit that's very near and dear to my heart. Give Us a Story, musical theater dance, and how that tells a story. That's what I come from. Years and years of musical theater. So I love that unit. And then to finish out the year, we'll be getting ready for our final performance of the year. So that's the dance curriculum. Here's a picture of our dance class last year after they finished their African dance performance. All right, and these are some dates that might be really helpful for you. So winter theater and dance performance is December 20th. Spring musical will be April 4th and 5th. And then the spring theater and dance performance will be May 24th. I did send those out in my syllabus, but you can also, this is just a good reminder of them. All right. And exciting news, like hot off the press news, coming up in October, we have a field trip to Goodspeed Opera House to see 42nd Street, the musical. I just confirmed all those tickets today. Not only do they get to see the musical, but they get to do workshops with cast members before they see the show. I'm so excited about this for them. I think they're just going to have an awesome time. And we're also starting Broadway at Isaac, which is the musical theater club. That is going to be starting on Tuesdays and Fridays after school. If your student is interested in being part of the cast of the musical, that's the club to join. So that is a little bit about theater and dance at Isaac. If anybody has any questions, I am so happy to answer them. They can be in the chat, or they can be live. And if you want to get in touch with me to ask me questions, my email is right there, agrundy@Isaac School. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. And so I don't know, I can't actually see, hold on, if there's anybody typing in the chat, but let me see if I can figure this out. I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. It looks good, right? Yeah. So who shall I pass the microphone to?
Back to me.
All right, back
This
to
is
you,
the
Ms.
last one.
Allen.
Okay. So just to close out, we just had a short video that I wanted to share with the families. Since we were not in school, we wanted to just take you on a short tour of Isaac School. So hope everybody can see my video and hear it. I'm just going to play here.
Hi, I'm Mr. Linsky, principal at Isaac.
And I am Mrs. Collins, associate principal at Isaac.
Welcome to our building. We are going to today give you a little bit of a tour and some information on what our building is, what it's all about, what we do here, and an introduction to the floors and some of the highlights of our building for this evening. We hope you enjoy. Welcome to our core values. Here at Isaac, the core values and our vision of the graduate are the very foundation of what we are and what we look to accomplish over our 3 successful years here at Isaac. We believe all students can do all things through hard work and through grit, and that our students are ready and prepared for 8th grade, 9th grade, and beyond to become outstanding citizens based upon the rigor and the belief that we have here for our students.
So how do our students become ready and prepared? Well, this wonderful wall, as soon as you walk into Isaac, there's a wall full of our family. We refer to our Isaac staff as our family. And We work with some of the most amazing educators, talented, thoughtful, caring people that you'll ever meet. If you just look at the wall itself, not only does it show a picture of our staff, but some of their interests. So our students can look and get to know a little bit about our staff as we, in turn, get to know your children. So we're very excited to have an amazing staff here. Welcome to the cafeteria. We wanted to show you where our students come and have the nutritious meals that they eat every day. Our students, when they come to school, get free breakfast, and they also get served free lunch. And if they're in after-school activity, they will receive free snacks as well.
Here we also try to entice our students to have and try and explore different foods. And we take that as something of great pride to give the outstanding product, because we know that a full and satisfied child who has the proper nutritional needs is going to also enjoy and produce academically here at the building.
Welcome to the second floor at Isaac. On this floor is where the majority of sixth graders have their core classes, and we also have on this floor the nurse and the gym.
Welcome to our gym. Here we do an extensive amount of activity, movement with our outstanding PE staff. Also, over on my right is also where we do our theater productions and our dance classes.
Welcome to the third floor at Isaac, where our seventh graders have the majority of their classes, along with some of our eighth grade classes, until our new addition gets fixed, where we have construction going on. On this floor, we also have our social work suite, and we have to have our social workers here, so they're going to wave to you. This is Mr. Avery, Mr. Regan, and Miss Barbado, who's our eighth grade science teacher in the social work suite.
Welcome to the fourth floor. Many of our eighth graders have classes on the fourth floor, but we've also moved some classes around. Currently, we have our art class is now moved upstairs. We have our digital media arts, and we also have school-based health center that is available for students as needed, as well as our math classroom and our ELA classroom. We're going to take you inside the digital media arts classroom right now for a look. Welcome to our computer lab. Here we have digital media arts, and we also work on music. Right now, students in digital media arts are starting to create characters that they will use as the foundational element for a storyboard for what they will be creating as part of their own video games. Also in music, students are taking bits and pieces of songs right now and learning how to do mashups to create their own authentic mashup and be able to share those with other students.
Welcome to our arts classroom, where the students get an opportunity to showcase their amazing art skills. And I have in my hand 2 examples of sketches the students are working on in their sketchbook. It's having to do with shading, and so they're shading pairs.
You're getting a first-hand look at our new Isaac van. We have one of 3 vans that we will be using exclusively for after-school 21st century programming that we have here at Isaac. It is a grant that we have for 5 years total, and these vans help transport students to and from programming in the summer and and away from programming to local hubs during the school year. It also helps transport those that go to athletic events, and we hope to have the other 2 vans that are on order right now available at the start of the new year. But this is something we're very excited about here at Isaac for you and for your family. Welcome to our construction site. We are currently in the midst of building our brand new state-of-the-art music room and 8th grade science lab. The expected completion date for our area is approximately January. Although right now we're at the mercy of what the weather is, we hope to have it done sooner. As a word of caution, we will be sending out things shortly regarding our bus drop-off lane, which is directly behind the camera, as well as our bus drop-off lane, which will be changing. So please be on the lookout for memos and letters that should be coming home shortly.
This area shows the future of Isaac. It's going to showcase our vision of what we want our Isaac students to have, which is the best of everything. We want our kids to have a focus in the arts. We want our kids to have the best in sciences. So this building is going to showcase that for our students. We're really happy and proud of the direction that we're going in with all of our learning.
But it seems that I'm not, and I'm starting to wonder, is that ever gonna change?
And our mission and vision for our students here at Isaac, and for our families and community. And to share and showcase those final things that are so important to us, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Spera, our Executive Director.
Thanks, Principal Linsky, and thanks, Associate Principal Collins, for showcasing our great school. And we're so happy to have you with us and continuing with us as we continue to make our school the best it can be for every single student and family that chooses Isaac. Even here in our brand new Teachers Lounge, we want to make sure that we not only have and keep the most talented teachers, but that they also feel special because they're the ones doing the work in the classroom. Each one of our teachers are rock stars, and we're so happy to have every single one of them here. And along with the great students and great families, Isaac will continue to be that top choice school in the area. We hope you have a great night, and we look forward to seeing you all soon.
So that's going to conclude our back to school night for 7th grade. We're so happy that all of you could join us for this amount of time, and we are very excited about this school year with all of your children. If you have any further questions or concerns, you have all of our email addresses. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us at any point in the school year. You'll hear a lot from us. Both ways to improve and you know, things that your kids are doing well as well. So again, we are really excited and we are so happy you could join us here today. Have a great evening, everybody.